Hello, I'm Doran Ellen Dotan in Tzfat. I've been making a lot of videos lately because I see that there's a need for a lot of information. One of the most serious forms of idolatry, it's probably the most serious form of idolatry among the rabbis, is thinking that HaVaYaH, that is the tetragrammaton, is God. And that HaVaYaH is God's name. I know that what I'm saying now flies in the face of everything that Jews and Christians have been taught, but I can prove that what I'm saying is true. The value of the letters of the name HaVaYaH is 26. One of the values for that expression is Hu David. He is David. Another one of the substitution values for the name HaVaYaH, 26, is Ha'achuza, spelled correctly without a vav. That also adds up to 26. It means the holding, the actual holding of where one lives. And this is what's important to understand, that HaVaYaH is resident holiness. It is the highest level of holiness possible in creation. The minute that we see that a value 26 can be substituted with an expression like he is David, we understand that we are not talking about the highest of the high. We're talking about the highest of the high holiness in creation. And that is supposed to be where we live. The Hebrew word Shem, which is translated as name, is also Sham, meaning that where he is, over there. Now, of course, the there and the here are supposed to be one and the same. But we see that again, there is a geographic connection. It gets deeper than that. If we look at the names of the punctuation marks that are most commonly used for the name HaVaYaH, which are Shvana, Cholem, and Kumatz, taking the Mem and the Sofit and the Sadi Sofit in their values as Sofiot, as final letters. The value of those names of those punctuation marks becomes 2,105, which is the same as 1,106, and it is also the same value as 107. One of the values for 1,106 is Haaretz, which is earth with the definite article hey on it. So the name HaVaYaH punctuated becomes Ha'achuza, the holding, Haaretz, the earth. Clearly, we are not talking about God above the level of creation. The name Elohim equals 646. One of the substitution values for that is Keter HaVaYaH, the crown of HaVaYaH. Now, the word crown in Hebrew, Keter, contains the word kar, kaf resh, in it, which means a gush of, I don't know how to say gush, not a lump of land, but an area of land, a described area of land, ka. The letter tav in keter, which equals 400, I'll write out, please God, all of these substitution values so you can see them. The letter tav equaling 400 is, one of the substitution values is kol afar, which means all of the land, the actual dusty kind of a land. And it's also Adama and afar. The land, Adama is land itself, and the afar describes the granular nature of land. So again, we're talking about the Holy Land, not God. God cannot be referenced at all. God appears nowhere in Torah. God has no attributes whatsoever. It is not more correct to say that God is supreme than to say that God is blue. The fact that the attribute that someone ascribes to God may be superlatively complimentary doesn't mean that it approaches correctness any more than saying God is blue, God is round. Now we say HaVaYaH. HaVaYaH is one. To ascribe any number whatsoever to God is also idolatry. So what is this one that we're talking about? What is this unity, this oneness? The value 26 is the same as 1025. 1025 becomes the word HaKadoshim, the holy ones, with the mem sofit being understood as 600. Now I can also read it as Amcha HaKadosh, your people who are holy, and also Ha'adam HaKadosh, the holy person. Clearly we are not talking about God in and of itself. We're talking about holiness. So then when we say HaVaYaH Echad, what we are saying is HaKadoshim Echad. The holy ones are one. God is talking about the fact that those who reach the level of holiness, which is HaVaYaH, which is the highest level of holiness possible in the creation, are they themselves one. They become an absolute unity. But to describe any of that to God is idolatry. In all fairness, the prophets had trouble with this too, not because they didn't understand it, God forbid, but because the language has its limitations. No language, including Hebrew, the holiest of our holy languages, cannot talk about God, cannot describe God, cannot even reference God. When I reference God, I'm referencing your concept of God, not God. So there are very definitely times in the books of the Nevi'im where the Nevi'im use the name HaVaYaH not in relation to the highest level of holiness, but even going beyond that to the creator of HaVaYaH. And they have to do that because the language doesn't allow for referencing Hashem directly. And they are presupposing that those who read what they're saying are on a higher level, are on a high enough level of Torah understanding to know that they're talking either about God or about the highest level of holiness when they're talking depending upon what they're saying, but are limited by the Hebrew language. So there are very definitely conflations in Torah between God and between HaVaYaH, because at the point of HaVaYaH, the language becomes incapable of going beyond it. And so even the prophets were bound by those restrictions. Those who worship HaVaYaH as God, which is the holy, HaVaYaH means the experience, which is the experience of the highest holiness possible in creation. Those who worship HaVaYaH are in so doing telling you that they have no experience of HaVaYaH, they do not understand resident holiness, and have made HaVaYaH into God, which is idol worship, and that includes practically all of the rabbis. The few rabbis who got to the level of understanding this had to keep it on the shushu, because by saying that, they would have been put outside of the pale. There were certain things that it was simply dangerous to say while we were in the diaspora. The blessing of the state of Israel, as I'm not talking about the land of Israel now, I'm talking about the state of Israel. The state of Israel allows us to be able to live on the land of Israel and not be dependent upon the rabbis. Outside of Israel, a Jew can certainly live a secular life and not be dependent upon the rabbis, but they are not connecting with absolute holiness. The state of Israel allows us to connect with the actual land and not have to be afraid of the rabbis putting us outside of the borders of the shtetl, and then we're lost. We're alone, and we become subject to the vagaries of assimilation and what could come with being put outside of the kihila. And with all of the faults of the state of Israel, this one gift that it allows Jews to come here and experience walking on the land and not needing the rabbis to be able to say what I'm saying is reason enough for God to redeem the state of Israel. And God will redeem the state of Israel. The state of Israel is an ersatz. There are major distortions in it, major problems in it. Nobody is more aware of it than we who live in Israel. But that particular one service is enough to redeem the state of Israel. And so it will be. Thank you for listening.